Hello guys. I recently viewed my analytics and found that people are watching my video but not subscribing my channel. Please subscribe my channel so that I can feed my cat.
Welcome back to Movie Synopsis.
In today's video, we will be going through the 2011 thriller and action film, Limitless. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. Eddie is a young man who is a writer. In fact, he had a book contract but unfortunately, he had writer's block and had not been able to write anything. No matter how hard he tried, ideas were not flowing through him. Unfortunately for him, his girlfriend Lindy broke up with him as she was tired of him. He however still wanted to propose to her but she stopped him and reminded him of how his last marriage with Melissa ended. As Eddie left the restaurant where Lindy had broken up with him and headed home, he met his ex-wife's brother, Vernon. Eddie told Vernon about his book contract and Vernon said he wanted to hear about it and invited him for a drink. As they were in the bar, Eddie asked after Melissa and Vernon told him that she now had a couple of kids although her husband had walked out on her. Vernon then asked about Eddie's book and Eddie confessed to him that he had been unable to write anything since he got the book contract. Vernon then said he could help him and introduced a drug to him. He said the drug had already been approved by the government and would start selling the next year. The drug allowed anyone that uses it to access 100% of their brain instead of the usual 20%. Vernon then received a call and told Eddie he needed to leave. He gave Eddie the drug but Eddie refused it but Vernon told him it was expensive and he was doing him a favor by giving him. Eddie then accepted the drug. As he was going home, Eddie used the drug as he felt he had nothing to lose. As he got home, he met his landlord's wife who started to rant about the house rent and Eddie barely paid attention to her. Soon, the effect of the drug he used started working and he started seeing things with clarity. He could assess memories from his brain from very far back. He started to talk to his landlord's wife about her law school problem and they later wrote her law school paper together after which they slept with each other. Back in his apartment, Eddie suddenly noticed that his apartment was in a mess and quickly cleans it up. The drug made him know what to do and how to do it. Eddie then got on his laptop and started writing. The words that had avoided him all the while started to come freely and he continued to write smoothly. However, the next morning, he was back to his normal self but he had several hundred pages of his book printed out already. He then took them to his editor, who was surprised that he had finally written something. When he got back to his apartment sometime later, he checked his voicemail and heard many messages from his editor. The editor had read 40 pages of his book and was very impressed with what she read. Eddie then went to visit Vernon as he wanted more of the drug he had given him. Vernon's face was bloodied when he opened the door for Eddie but he refused to tell Eddie what had happened. Eddie then asked about the drug and Vernon explained that the drug is called NZT48 and was not actually government approved. Eddie then told Vernon he wanted more of the drug but Vernon asked Eddie to pick up his dry cleaning and some food first before they discussed about the drug. For another pill, Eddie was ready to do anything and he quickly did what Vernon asked him to do. However, on his return, he met the door open and saw Vern on the sofa, dead, and the apartment ransacked. Eddie, stunned and scared, settled down and called 911. While waiting for the cops to arrive, he decided to search for the NZT48 stash and after a while, he finally found a plastic bag full of the pills inside the oven, along with a wad of cash and an address book. He hid these from the cops, who eventually released him after a short interview. Back at home he took another pill and finished the book in 4 days. He learned many new things within a short while. He talks like a know-it-all about everything to new friends. One of his listeners, stockbroker Kevin Doyle, gives him his business card. Thereafter, Eddie is invited to a jet-set beach party down south. He zooms around with a babe and a Maserati, then shows off by cliff diving from over 100 feet. He realized what to do for the rest of his life but realizes he needs lots of money to do it. He slowly starts day trading but needed more capital quickly. A cafe owner sets him up with a Russian loan shark. The Russian handed him $100,000 but threatened to skin him alive if he doesn't pay it back. Now Eddie's stock trades in earnest and rapidly increased his brokerage account to $2 million. Job offers and reporters started to call him. Kevin Doyle offered him a meeting with elite entrepreneur Carl Van Loon. Lindy was impressed with the new Eddie and they reconnected. However, a man in a tan coat seemed to be spying on them. Eddie met with corporate raider Carl Van Loon in a restaurant and jokingly claimed medication as his secret. In a limo, Carl tested Eddie by asking him to review a file of different companies. Carl soon dropped off Eddie in Chinatown and invited him the next day for another meeting. Walking, Eddie lost track of time. Among things that happened to him, he recalled Bruce Lee movies to help him battle a gang of muggers in a subway station. He then ended up in a bar and meets new friends and sleeps with a blonde woman. 18 hours later he found himself back to normal, limping but without memory of recent events. His can of NZT-48 was nearly empty and he could not decipher the corporate files anymore. He called to beg off the meeting with Carl, but Kevin convinced him to attend. Carl asked him about Hank Atwood, a corporate rival who came from nowhere to prominence 2 years ago, but on the TV Eddie noticed a news item about the murder of a blonde woman in a hotel the previous day. He excused himself, fearing he may have killed the girl during his blackout. Fearful of NZT's side effects before taking another pill, Eddie tried to find Vernon's other clients to understand more, but each phone call was a dead end with users either dead or hospitalized. The next call he made coincidentally rings the phone of the tan coat tough guy sitting on the other side of a park. Eddie realized the connection first and makes an escape. He then meets his ex-wife Melissa in a cafe. She was a junkie who admitted she took NZT, too, but stopped taking it when she realized no one could operate at that level of mental activity without bad consequences, then found out from Vernon that other users had died. Now off of it for 2 years, she cannot concentrate for more than 10 minutes and her life is a mess. She urged him to taper off. She then walked away with a pronounced limp. Russian loan shark Gennady found Eddie and demanded for his money. While manhandling Eddie, he spotted a dropped NZT pill and takes it. He feels good and, after getting his $100,000 back, lets Eddie go. Eddie, sick and bedraggled, staggers into Lindy's office. He tells her everything, admits he needs the drugs, and admits hiding his main stash in her house. Leaving Eddie collapsed on the floor of her office, she recovered the plastic bag herself, but in the taxi coming back, the man in the tan coat from the park attacked her. He viciously killed 2 bystanders that try to help her as she runs off and hides in Central Park. She phones Eddie, who encourages her to take one of the pills. Under its influence, Lindy escapes by using an ice skating girl as a weapon, gashing the face of her attacker. Eddie and Lindy sleep together, but in the morning she told him that she wants nothing more to do with NZT. Eddie said he needs more time with it to set things up. But Lindy did not listen and left him. Once again Gennady meets Eddie, this time wanting more pills. Afterward, Eddie hires 2 bodyguards. He meets Carl again, looking and acting sharp, and is put in charge of brokering the largest corporate takeover in history. Eddie has figured out the proper dosage to take, remembering to eat and sidestep alcohol to avoid blackouts. He ordered a tailored suit with imperceptible compartments to hide his pills and hires a chemist to reverse engineer the NZT pills in a short 6 months. At a restaurant business lunch, he recognizes a police detective from Vernon's death investigation watching him. The cop shows Eddie the photo of him in the newspaper, which identified him as being at the hotel of the murdered blonde. Eddie hires good lethal lawyer Morris Brandt, who gets him off against weak circumstantial evidence. Meanwhile, the merger goes on and neared its conclusion. Eddie revealed plans to move on, but Carl wants him to stay, acknowledging Eddie's freak ability while pointing out he hasn't paid his dues through competition to know how to assess his competition. Finding his hotel room raided, Eddie buys an $8.5 million secure condo fortress. On the street, he meets the Russian again, who wants 20 pills, or else, he would torture him to death. As he's about to receive $40 million from the Atwood merger, Eddie is confident he'll have enough money to deal with Gennady. At the office, though, Hank Atwood is a no-show. Carl and Eddie meet Hank Atwood's wife, who then told them Hank is in the hospital. The deal will close when he gets better. On the street, he notices Mrs. Atwood's scarred limo driver, the man with the tan coat, and realizes Atwood must be an NZT user as well, who won't get better because he's run out of NZT. Eddie had to go to the police station and stand in an ID lineup, but his lawyer, Morris Brandt, got him released. At the office, Carl is upset. Atwood is in a coma and Carl wants to know where Eddie has been, thinking Eddie knows what is going on and suspecting betrayal. In the washroom, Eddie discovers his pills are missing. And soon, a box arrived addressed to him. Eddie grabs the box and exited, leaving a fuming Van Loon behind. Inside the box was the severed hands of his 2 bodyguards. At the condo, Eddie watches TV and sees Mrs. Atwood and her lawyer, who's also his lawyer, Morris Brandt. As he realizes that's where his hidden pills went, he saw the Russians coming for him from the security cameras, who assault his steel door with a chainsaw. Eddie goes to the balcony edge, ready to kill himself rather than succumb to their undoubtedly painful torture. He suddenly remembered where one last NZT pill is and tried to retrieve it but loses it as the Russians break in. Gennady shoots up his own last pill in form of an injection and begins to prepare Eddie for the slow painful torture he's about to experience. With one final thrust, Eddie manages to turn the tables and kill Gennady. The other 2 Russian thugs, having been busy cracking Eddie's safe with drills, return to the room. Eddie manages to fight them off after licking Gennady's NZT-enriched blood, blinding one before killing both in self-defense. At the hospital, Hank Atwood dies. Eddie realizes that, though Brandt stole his pills, He did not give them to Mr. Atwood. Eddie then went to meet the man with the tan coat and told him what Brant had done. The man then helped Eddie as he searched through Brant's safe, where he finds his pills packet while the tan coat man watches over Brant, tied and gagged on the floor. 12 months later, Eddie's book is published, and he's running for the US Senate, NY. He gets a surprise visit from Carl in his campaign office. Though warm at first, Carl hints that he knows how Eddie has done it and has, subsequently, shut down his NZT lab. Carl will guarantee a limitless supply in return for some future inside information. Eddie aggressively comes back. Showing off his abilities, he says he is off NZT and doesn't need it, having become permanently enhanced, and pushes Carl away. Thanks for watching. Please, like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.